Karen and the HOA had, over the years, transformed Audacity into a relentless, almost theatrical campaign of harassment. They had flooded lakes, sabotaged docks, inflicted Carolina Reaper wing humiliations, unleashed snakes, immobilized junkyard vehicles, manipulated rivers, cut down willow trees, confronted biker gangs, staged explosive raids, tampered with locks, engaged in ladder spying, flooded hotels, rigged pit traps, destroyed power lines, released surprise crocodiles, immobilized tow trucks, levied $20 million fines, built concrete hedge walls, glued locks, imposed lake fines, slid SUVs into water, swapped EV chargers for gasoline pumps, enforced pontoon fines, challenged sheriffs, drained wetlands, hijacked docks, dumped sewage, attempted mall construction, defended barns with 3,000-pound bulls, repossessed lumbos, dominated forests, defended gates, aimed boats at HOA homes, and prevented bulldozers from destroying shooting ranges. And yet, Karen's audacity never ceased. The latest affront came in the form of a $5,000 fine for hunting on my own land. The HOA claimed that my hunting activities somehow violated neighborhood regulations, despite the fact that my property, including the entire forest surrounding it, was legally mine. Karen and her cohorts assumed that intimidation, combined with the threat of financial penalty, would force compliance. They underestimated both the scale of my holdings and the extent of my preparation. I reviewed the situation from the control room. Ranger patrolled the perimeter, drones scanned every angle of the forest, and Grandpa monitored the automated alert systems. The fine was audacious but also predictable. Over the years, Karen and the HOA had repeated this pattern: target, intimidate, and assume compliance. What they didn't account for was that I owned not just the hunting lodge but the entire forest surrounding it, giving me absolute authority and a unique opportunity to escalate. The first stage involved strategic acquisition. Using pre-established financial instruments, contracts, and liens, I moved to purchase the entirety of the HOA's real estate holdings in the neighborhood adjacent to my forest. Within hours, the neighborhood that had repeatedly attempted to impose authority on my land was now under my ownership. The irony was perfect. The entity that fined me for hunting now owed its entire property to me. Next, I implemented the enforcement phase. Legal notices were immediately issued, informing the former HOA members that trespassing on any portion of the forest was now strictly prohibited. Violations would carry fines and legal penalties far exceeding the $5,000 they had imposed on me. Their access, privileges, and authority were effectively nullified. Karen and her supporters quickly realized that their previous attempts to control my activities were not only ineffective but had triggered consequences they could not escape. To solidify control, I deployed environmental and tactical deterrence. The forest itself, previously accessible to wildlife and occasional visitors, was now patrolled with automated sensors, drones, and rangers' vigilant presence. Strategic paths, gates, and barriers ensured that any unauthorized entry would be immediately detected and countered. The psychological impact was undeniable. The neighborhood that once assumed power over my property was now forbidden to even approach it. The next phase involved financial and operational leverage. All neighborhood roads leading into the forest were secured, and any attempt to bypass these barriers would result in automated fines, recorded violations, and potential legal action. The $5,000 fine issued by the HOA now seemed laughably insignificant compared to the legal, financial, and operational control I had established over the entire area. Karen and her neighbors were left in stunned silence, their previous authority entirely dismantled. By mid-afternoon, calm had returned to the forest. Ranger patrolled silently, drones hovered overhead, and the forest stood as a testament to strategic ownership and absolute authority. Karen's audacity had been met with comprehensive consequence. The neighborhood was now under my control, trespass was strictly prohibited, and any future attempts to interfere with my hunting, property, or activities would carry consequences far exceeding any prior fine. Reflecting on the incident, it was evident that audacity without foresight leads not to success but to humiliation, legal consequence, and strategic defeat. Karen and the HOA had once again learned that on my property, control is absolute, trespass is punished decisively, and entitlement is always met with immediate and unforgettable consequences. By evening, the forest was peaceful. The hunting lodge stood secure, ranger patrolled, and drones monitored every angle. Karen and the HOA had discovered, yet again, that attempts to impose authority on my land are met not merely with resistance, but with strategic, overwhelming, and permanent measures. On my forest, audacity has limits, and I define them,